Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The 2021-2022 season's showpiece took centre stage when Liverpool and Real Madrid locked horns once again in the Champions League final. In the end, Real Madrid became champions of Europe for the 14th time, thanks to a solitary goal by Vinicius Jr. The XG showed that Liverpool had the better quality chances, but Courtois was imperious. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. And this is how both managers chose to line up for this match, courtesy of the OneFootball app. OneFootball is the best football app around, and I'm happy to say they're sponsoring this video, and you can download it for free through the link in the description below. It will give you formations like this for every league you choose to follow, but you can also follow individual players. You can get stats for both, news, and so much more, and by downloading through the link below, you get the best free football app around and help to support the channel. We'll begin with Madrid on the ball. When Madrid looked to play out with the ball from deep or from goal kicks, Liverpool were aggressive in the press, often with Salah and Mane coming central ready to press the centre-backs, and it would often be Diaz who would remain deeper on the left on Carvajal from the front three. In contrast, on the right, Trent pushed up to press Mendy. Liverpool were probably more comfortable with Trent pushing up for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Henderson as the right central midfielder is comfortable moving across to cover that space as he has good work rate. In addition, Konate as the right centre-back is also very comfortable moving across into the wide region, almost to a right-back position to cover the threat of Vinicius, as Konate is mobile and good in 1v1s, whilst Van Dijk is excellent as a covering defender. So, Liverpool could switch to a pseudo back three in these scenarios. In the first half especially, this forced Courtois long, often leading to many turnovers. Slightly higher in open play, Liverpool was still aggressive in the press and were happy to commit Thiago and Henderson to press the Real midfield at times, and we saw Real try to adapt to this in a few ways. Early on in the game, Kroos and Casemiro formed a double pivot that Liverpool would look to press, whilst Modric pushed high into this region. This shape could see Carvajal advance with Valverde narrow, meaning that the right back could be found directly, or Modric. But for the most part, Valverde stayed wide, so it was Modric who was still free in the midfield and could be found away from the pressure of Fabinho. However, Liverpool in the first half were better in the press, making this pass to Modric difficult to find. So in the second half we began to see Kroos drop into a deep left position and Modric into a deep right position, sometimes synchronously, sometimes asynchronously. Down the right in particular, where previously Diaz could commit to pressing Carvajal, now with Modric deep, if you look to press him, Carvajal outside of him would be able to receive in space. And in these scenarios, Valverde could stay wide on the right hand side, so this right side triangle had a lot of success. And we see some hints of this in the winning goal. It's a rare occasion that Diaz is drawn central on the press, so Carvajal can receive, and initially Modric is in his traditional midfield position. But he then drifts to the right as discussed, and this time Robertson is drawn high as Diaz had been pushed out of position. But Valverde has now stayed high in the right hand side position, so he's able to receive from Casemiro. So like we discussed, unlike on the right where Henderson's work rate was able to cover the wide regions, Thiago is slightly slower to do so, and Van Dijk is more passive than Konate, who was aggressive when pressing Vinicius, so instead Valverde can receive and drive forward, eventually leading to the goal. But aside from this, we saw Real looking to take advantage of Trent's positional weakness, often looking to transition quickly behind him and Konate, with success at times, but generally Konate was great at providing cover. Now let's look at Liverpool on the ball. Madrid were nowhere near as aggressive in their press, and instead sat in a deep to mid 4-4-2 block, with Modric often pushing up alongside Benzema. And in the first half especially, Real were being overrun in the midfield region. This is because when Modric was high, it would mean Fabinho could receive more freely in the pivot role, as the Real double pivot would be forced deep. Alternatively, if Modric and Kroos were both higher, Something we often saw was Henderson pushing higher into the right-hand half space, whilst Mane would also drop into the midfield, looking to outnumber Casemiro in this position. So a line-breaking pass could find Mane between the lines to then turn to attack the defenders or play in Salah or Diaz running ahead of him, leading to danger. And in the first half, Henderson was most often in this position, and it was Salah who would hold the width, so that when he received the ball, he could potentially have 1v1s. However, a combination of Mendy, Alaba, and the dropping Vinicius would look to stop him, but they weren't particularly effective, with Salah still managing a ridiculous 9 shots. As Liverpool began to search for the equaliser, this now altered, with Salah playing narrow with the rest of the front three, whilst Henderson moved out wide, and Trent was in this inside position so that Liverpool could swing in crosses effectively from the right hand side. But Thibaut Courtois was in excellent form and Real were able to hold out. Overall, it was another match where Real for the most part were outplayed, but had the nous to do the only thing that mattered: win the game, meaning that this ends up as an excellent season for Los Blancos, winning the league and Champions League. But how do you guys rate Liverpool's season, as they ended up with just their domestic cups? Let me know what you think down below. And guys, there'll be plenty of more content during the off season, but thank you for being with me on the channel throughout the season, and let's hope next season is just as good. And as for the managerial tactical score, it's hard to fault either manager, as Klopp's side did create chances. And against a team that was heavy favourites on paper, Ancelotti's Real did well, meaning that both managers earned a 7. But drop your ratings down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you might enjoy the content available on my Patreon. Not only does Patreon help to support the continued production of content, as I am a one-man team, but it also gives you early access to videos that will come on the channel. You'll also get exclusive videos, get to vote on polls, and so much more. And it's cheaper than ever, no longer having a tier system, so everyone on the Patreon gets access to all the content. So head over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple to check it out. And a special thanks to my patrons including Alexander Vrabel, Christopher Teleford, and Ignacio Paves. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.